The corona going around to everybody.
Over the past few weeks, we have witnessed the emergence of a previously unknown pathogen, which has escalated into an unprecedented outbreak and which has been met by an unprecedented response. As I have said repeatedly since my return from Beijing, the Chinese government is to be congratulated for the extraordinary measures it has taken to contain the outbreak, despite the severe social and economic impact those measures are having on the Chinese people. We would have seen many more cases outside China by now, and probably deaths, if it were not for the government's efforts and the progress they have made to protect their own people and the people of the world. The speed with which China detected the outbreak, isolated the virus, sequenced the genome, and shared it with WHO and the world are very impressive and beyond words. So is China's commitment to transparency and to supporting other countries. In many ways, China is actually setting a new standard for outbreak response, and it's not an exaggeration. I also offer my profound respect and thanks to the thousands of brave health professionals and all frontline responders who, in the midst of the Spring Festival, are working 24/7 to treat the sick, save lives, and bring this outbreak under control. Thanks to their efforts, the number of cases in the rest of the world so far has remained relatively small. There are now 98 cases in 18 countries outside China, including 8 cases of human-to-human transmission in 4 countries: Germany, Japan, Vietnam, and the United States of America. So far, we have not seen any deaths outside China, for which we must all be grateful. Although these numbers are still relatively small compared to the numbers of cases in China, we must all act together now to limit further spread. The vast majority of cases outside China have a travel history to Wuhan or contact with someone with a travel history to Wuhan. We don't know what sort of damage this virus could do if it were to spread in a country with a weaker health system. We must act now to help countries prepare for that possibility. For all of these reasons, I'm declaring a public health emergency of international concern over the global outbreak of novel coronavirus. The main reason for this declaration is not because of what is happening in China, but because of what is happening in other countries. Our greatest concern is the potential for the virus to spread to countries with weaker health systems and which are ill prepared to deal with it. Thank you. Thank you, Tariq. Good afternoon, everybody. In the past 2 weeks, the number of cases of COVID-19 outside China has increased 13-fold, and the number of affected countries has tripled. There are now more than 118,000 cases in 114 countries, and 4,291 people have lost their lives. Thousands more are fighting for their lives in hospitals. In the days and weeks ahead, we expect to see the number of cases, the number of deaths, and the number of affected countries climb even higher. WHO has been assessing this outbreak around the clock, and we're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic. Pandemic is not a word to use lightly or carelessly. It's a word that, if misused, can cause unreasonable fear or unjustified acceptance that the fight is over, leading to unnecessary suffering and death. Describing the situation as a pandemic does not change WHO's assessment of the threat posed by the virus. It doesn't change what WHO is doing, and it doesn't change what countries should do. We have never before seen a pandemic sparked by a coronavirus. This is the first pandemic caused by a coronavirus. And we have never before seen a pandemic that can be controlled at the same time. WHO has been in full response mode since we were notified of the first cases, and we have called every day for countries to take urgent and aggressive action. We have rung the alarm bell loud and clear. As I said on Monday, just looking at the number of cases and the number of countries affected does not tell the full story.
To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. Two very big words. The action I am taking will open up access to up to $50 billion of very important and a large amount of money for states and territories and localities in our shared fight against this disease. In furtherance of the order, I'm urging every state to set up emergency operation centers effective immediately. You're going to be hearing from some of the largest companies and greatest retailers and medical companies in the world. They're standing right behind me and inside of me. I'm also asking every hospital in this country to activate its emergency preparedness plan so that they can meet the needs of Americans everywhere. The hospitals are very engaged. New York and various other places are also very engaged. I just spoke with Governor Cuomo. We had a very good conversation, and we're working very strongly with many states, including New York. The emergency orders I'm issuing today will also confer broad new authority to the Secretary of Health and Human Services. The Secretary of HHS will be able to immediately waive provisions of applicable laws and regulations to give doctors, all hospitals, and healthcare providers maximum flexibility to respond to the virus and care for patients.
Proclamation on declaring a national emergency concerning the novel coronavirus disease, COVID-19 outbreak, issued on March 13, 2020.
Now, therefore, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, by the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including Sections 201 and 301 of the National Emergencies Act, 50, United States Code 1601 et seq., and consistent with Sections 1135 of the Social Security Act, as amended, 42 United States Code 1320B-5, do hereby find and proclaim that the COVID-19 outbreak in the United States constitutes a national emergency beginning March 1st, 2020. It's a shame that the World Health Organization did not take this seriously until there was over 4,000 deaths. It's even worse to me that the United States did not take this serious until we had members of Congress that were exposed and a president that was exposed. None of them have tested positive yet, but they were exposed. All of a sudden, now we're taking it seriously. At the moment, every state in the country, except for the beautiful mountain state of West Virginia, has confirmed cases of coronavirus. Every state except for one. Since the president's declaration, schools across the country have been shut down and closed. Students are sent home. Schools not expected to open up at the soonest around the middle of April, with several governors saying they don't think their schools are going to be back at all for the rest of this school year. Many states have also shut down restaurants, food courts, coffee shops, anything except for a pickup or a drive-through. Forget about it. Health clubs have been closed. Anywhere where it's a social gathering spot, forget about it. It's done. So now we have the kids out of school all day for the next couple of weeks at least. We've got parents not working now because their employers are all being shut down. Who's feeding these kids? Well, fortunately, many of the schools and several businesses across the country are providing free breakfasts and free lunches to all students during the week. But somebody still has to be able to get there to pick it up. That's still more exposure with people. There's going to be a lineup, so I mean, still a risk.
So now we have all these kids home. There's no school activities for them. Rec centers are closed. They can't go to parks. Not parks with, riding stuff and stuff like that. They can't gather. The president has just ordered no gatherings more than 10 people. What are all these kids going to do when they're home now? The older ones are going to start getting in trouble. Whenever you have a disaster or an emergency, you always have good, you have bad, and you have idiots. Let's look at some of the bad. We got this jagoff down in Tennessee who bought up all of this hand sanitizer in a huge radius around his house, then tried to sell it all on Amazon and eBay at a tremendous markup. Well, he got busted for that. I just hope the Attorney General takes him for every penny that he made off of that.
Right now. Corona time. Hey, it's Corona time right now.
This is definitely a what the hell. In Oregon, one of the police departments had so many people calling 911 because they were out of toilet paper, they actually had to put it out on the news. Stop calling them for toilet paper. Hello? Seriously? Hey, if you need shit paper that bad, get a bidet. Get a little portable bottle one. You know what? I'm sure you got an empty ketchup bottle around the house. All those kids that need something to do, you can have them, invent your own little homemade bidets. Come on, people. The afternoon of Monday, March 16th, President Trump held another presser, this time urging people to avoid gatherings of 10 or more. He's starting to double down and taking things a little bit more seriously, which is good, but it's also scaring me a bit because he's exceeding even what the World Health Organization is recommending. I'm a little bit afraid of what he's planning on next. Trump does like to be large and in charge, and he has shown it. He has those little measuring contests all the time. Most of them I don't mind. This one I do. Now, the National Guard has already been deployed to several states to help so far to distribute food, supplies, resources, stuff like that. As far as I'm concerned, that's putting them in place for what possibly could be coming. And that's what's scaring me is that Trump might be planning worst case scenario here, and we end up going to martial law over this. Okay, I want to wrap things up now. I'm going to give you a quick reminder about coronavirus and how it's spread. Coughing, sneezing, breathing in somebody else's air droplets, close personal contact, touching objects that somebody has coughed and sneezed on, and then touching your mouth, nose, and your eyes, or, picking your ass. So don't do any of those things, okay? Be smart. If you're coughing and sneezing and know you are, have tissues on hand or cough into the inside of your elbow. This way you're not spreading it out everywhere around you. Stay away from people. Keep at least 6 feet away from people, especially if they're coughing. That's a biggie. And then hand washing. Can't stress that enough. Hand washing, hand washing, hand washing. Soap and water, it's all you need. It doesn't have to be antibacterial soap. You want to wash for at least 20 seconds. Hum a nursery rhyme or sing yourself a little song while you're washing. Now, should the occasion arise where you do not have access to soap and water and you're unable to wash your hands, at least make sure you always have some hand sanitizer handy. They sell small bottles. Put them in a separate little squirt bottle for you from a bigger bottle if you have to. Just have it on hand. Here's some cleaning tips for you. Follow that. Bleach. 1/3 cup of bleach into a gallon of water. Don't mix anything else in with it. Alcohol. It has to be at least 70% alcohol if you want it to be effective. Hydrogen peroxide is great, but it needs several minutes contact time. Just keep that in mind if that's what you choose to use in your kitchen.
But y'all do. Y'all do. Motherfucker, y'all do. Shit. Now what? Hey.